throwing this in here because I started it. I'm throwing this as an extra here because the way that we ended the final live stream, in my opinion, was hilarious, but it wasn't a good ending because there was no time to actually discuss anything. I don't know how long we're gonna talk. It might be like 10 minutes. It might be longer than that. But I just wanted to like kind of let it sink in. Now that it's kind of synced in, talk about it a little bit. I mean, we did a little bit. I don't know if this is necessary, but I just felt like I wasn't gonna end it until I felt like it was a funny place to end it. I was gonna keep it going a bit. So, Stuart, you mentioned before I started this again that this is still like your number one game of the year.
Yeah.
Technically, it's
Yeah.
from last year, but it's like right on the edge of last year. It's the best
hmm
game that you've played within a year.
Yeah, best game I played within a year. And I know a lot about video games. I played a lot of video games this year and just
He's quite the gamer.
I'm a pro gamer, guys. Look at me or my fucking Fortnite pillow or whatever.
I think that in terms of games I've played this year, not like saying counting any game because I don't just any game I played this year. OMORI is probably the most meaningful one. I think I had more like fun with Dragon Quest 11, but I mean, I'm thinking with OMORI as part of the experience is just actual misery. But I'm okay with that as long as there's a point to. I'm okay, like because there's like misery and like, oh, this is so boring, this is so hard to get through. This game's misery is like done through some really harsh but real and true messages. And I really appreciate pretty much everything about it. I will say, so I have the only thing I do kind of have a gripe with this game, and it's not a huge gripe. I would still say it's absolutely worth it. Is that there are certain sections in the headspace that I felt were just too long for me. That was the part of the game I was less invested in. I enjoyed the boss battles. I actually thought it was a lot of fun to kind of strategize and get through those. I was really stressed out during like the Three Sisters followed by Humphrey. You can hear my frustration, but I was also really getting into it. Like I think that fight is the most fun I had playing the entire game. It wasn't the most interesting part, but it was the most fun I had playing the game because it was really fun trying to get through that and seeing if I could actually get through it because it is throwing quite a lot at you in that final fight. That final fight that's like a challenge because the fight with Amori isn't really hard. It's just narrative. It's used for narrative purposes. But you know, like shit. Like I think my least favorite section of the game is honestly the one where you're going to the Sprout Mole village. I felt like there was just so much shit they make you do there that wasn't fun.
Look, man, you destroyed Christmas. You have no right to complain.
I didn't enjoy. I liked that section, a lot of that section, and then there was just parts where I'm like, okay, okay, I get it, I get it, I get it. But what I will say is it. I do appreciate the amount of effort that they put into it. What's the girl? What's the person who made this game's name again?
Mocat.
Omocat. She did a really great job on it. I understand that there was a lot of issues of production and it took a really long time to deliver, but you can see where the time was put. It's a very, very nice and stylistic game. The animations are wonderful.
Yeah, this ain't no yandere dev.
And it's just kind of a hard game to accept though too. I feel like it's hard to because I'm left with that end and feeling very. Let me finish this because it might come off as an insult, but it isn't. The ending left me very unsatisfied. I mean, super fucking unsatisfied, and I don't think that there's a better way they could have ended it. Because I don't know how you show that. I don't know, like, you could have all of the characters say "fuck you" to the main character, and then you're just left depressed out of your mind, or you could leave it with them saying, "Yeah, it's all right, Sonny," and then it just feels kind of like a sugar coated ending. It's kind of like how I feel about the BoJack finale, where it's just like everyone's like, "Oh, is he a better person or not?" You can't really say if that experience in the final season changed him or not. Saying no entirely removes all hope. Saying yes is a cop out. I don't always like middle ground endings where they don't give you a definite answer, but there are cases where it's necessary, and this game is definitely one of them. I'm just like in my head. I'm just like, man, I want these three to forgive him. Man, I want them to be okay. They do give you a little thing at the end though with him and Basil, and I appreciate that because that just feels like the bare minimum they could give you to just make it easier to go to sleep the next day. that little exchange between them does make it feel like you made the right choice. But it's hard. It's very hard coming to terms with something like that. Like, what a horrible situation.
Hmm. What's even
Um,
more crazier is just I probably said this multiple times, but I knew next to nothing about this game. Just Austin saying that, oh, it's inspired by Earthbound. He's been following it for a while, and then I finally decided, hey, I'll give this a shot. This will take a few hours. Just a fun little, Earthbound inspired game. I was not ready nor expecting this to take that this much of a toll on me.
yeah,
It's really made me think about my life decisions and just stuff in the past to the point where I actually started breaking down.
hmm
I couldn't hold it all in. It was very emotional for me.
there, you know, not nothing to the extent of what happened between Sonny and Mary, but I've had moments in my life where I didn't want to come to terms with something. I felt like it'd be better to ignore it. I think most people have some moment in their life like that,
Hmm.
where it's like,
Hmm.
where it's just choosing to pretend something didn't happen rather than accept it and heal from it. Because if you refuse to acknowledge something, you never can heal from it. It's a harsh reality.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Sonny's friends could forgive him, but I could say that even after seeing the horrible thing he did, I still care about him. I would personally want them to forgive him. But I could
Er-
understand how you couldn't. I understand how someone might not be able to do that, though. I really do. I couldn't, like, if it ended with them not forgiving him. You know, how can you tell someone to forgive someone for something like that? I don't know.
They all got to go through their own experiences with like taking in the truth that they've just
The
been lied
telephone.
to for all these years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the whole lion part could also, like, because even if it's like a situation where maybe they could forgive him for this, the fact that there was like a 4 year wait that could hurt it.
Someone should destroy that telephone.
Yeah, and it's also not as simple as it really also isn't as simple as like
Turning off the
they all say.
telephone.
What I was gonna say is it's also not as simple as everyone saying yes and everyone saying no right away. This could be something that takes years before something satisfying happens. Before there's
Hmm.
like people are at peace. Amori's not going to be okay after this. Amori's going to be okay someday because of
Maury's
this.
dead. You're
I
talking
mean,
about
Sunny,
Sonny, you
Sunny, Sunny,
fucking loser. I can't believe this.
Sunny. But yeah, so I guess that's everything I've got to say. I really like it. I really like it. Again, I just little sections that I felt went on too long. None of the only the headspace stuff though, and some of them were fine. The whole space boyfriend section of the game, like one of the first ones, that was perfect length in my opinion. The stuff underwater, some of it I didn't like. Some of it I really liked. I really didn't care for the puzzles, but I did like Humphrey. I did like the three sisters. I did like the fact that they fucking murder Sweetheart. All of the music's great, all of the artwork's great. So there's always something to appreciate. It's just in terms of like I don't know. Sometimes I'm so invested in the story that like I don't know. The gameplay wasn't always my favorite part of the game. I guess is what I'm saying. But
I got a poster from OmoCat's store.
you did. You sent me a picture.
It's beautiful and it's scary.
Yeah.
And I plan on getting more stuff eventually because I just really like the game.
I
And
might
the
get the.
merch they have is super, super cute.
I might get the soundtrack. I've purchased a few game soundtracks before. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I ever want to play this again. I might, but this one's kind of a haunting game, so it's kind of like it's kind of hard to go through it a second time, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
you did kind of, but
Yeah, technically, in such a short time.
yeah. Uh, I know that there's that other route. I don't know if I'm gonna do it or not. I also don't know if I'm gonna stream it or not. I might
Yeah, because
literally get out of this call and then tonight I'm gonna just be looking at videos on YouTube. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna bother then. because now my curiosity has peaked, and now there's like this hunger that needs to be, this thirst that needs to be quenched. But I mean, I think watching videos on YouTube and editing the series is gonna help with
I
that.
need to consume
Um,
capitalism.
Headcanon, I'd like to say they all forgave him, so I'll just stick to that for now. I want them to be okay with each other. You get such a nice, you see what things could be like if you see what things could have been like if it was just she hung herself, you know, and then they have to throw in one final curveball that changes everything. And it's brilliantly done, but they do it at a point where you really care about these characters and their relationships, and you really just want it to work out so badly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just find out like, yeah, it might not, it might never, it might never, but maybe it will.
Fact, the fact is, you finally gain the courage to own up.
Yeah, and you go
I
into with
mean,
the belief that you will be forgiven, and I mean there is some optimism there. There's hope
and I
there.
guess in terms of like legal actions, I don't really know.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that could. Yeah, because I mean, not.
I
I
I
mean,
think
if
it could be. I think it could be like accidental manslaughter.
yeah, and I mean, like a court might be sympathetic with someone. You know, it's a kid. It was an accident.
But then at the
Um,
same time, it's like,
but
are you
you,
literally just like throwing a person's life, away, just like, oh, yeah, it was an accident.
oh,
Okay.
I'm talking about sentence wise, because
Yeah.
if they acknowledge if it's like an accident, or they acknowledge that the person who did it is really like remorseful, they a sentence might be a lot lighter. If you kept it secret for years, that could change, you know? That could change a lot.
I mean, just even saying, hey, knocked over my sister, and then we hid the evidence by hanging her from a tree.
Yeah.
That just makes it worse. Hell, even
Yeah.
like Basil will be getting like legal trouble just
Oh yeah.
because it was his
Absolutely.
idea to
Yeah.
say, let's just hang her.
Um I'm very like I yeah, like I said, I want to forgive him because I just spent all this time playing as him. But I, like I said, anyone who says like, yeah, no, fuck that, I can't blame them. You know, I really can't. It's such a hard thing to deal with. It's such a rough situation. I'm sure there's people who've played this and said, yeah, he needs to be held accountable for it, even if he was just a kid.
Yeah, there's your obvious like negative reviews saying you take the role of a psychopath, but I feel like they probably just looked it up and just wanted to be trolls.
Well,
They're
yeah,
everywhere.
there's. I think that there should be a level of sympathy. There absolutely should be. I understand someone thinking that, like, because the thing you have to keep in mind too is like, yeah, it was a life that was lost. It was, you know, Mary's life was important. So I understand why some people still would look at that ending and be like, they should be held accountable for what they did. You can feel bad for them, but they should be held accountable for it. Um, while other people might be a lot more forgiven. Um, if you're just like, oh yeah, he's a fucking psychopath, I really feel like you're more worried about how people perceive your interpretation than how you actually perceived it. Like you're afraid someone's going to say you're a psychopath if you sympathize with them.
Hmm.
Because yeah, the game, that's why this game is so hard to get through, is because you do care about these guys and you do want to see it work out. Um, yeah, it's just there's no easy. Yeah, you said it before. There's no easy way of looking at the ending.
Hmm.
You can't just brush. You can't just brush it off entirely. Like oh yeah, everything's fine. But it definitely seems like the ending we went with is the best possible scenario.
Yep. And because you watered Basil's flowers, he got to live.
Oh, does he not live if you don't water the flowers?
I think it's mainly implied that his something is still there.
Got it.
Yeah, that you got the best ending where he woke up. Because again, you guys were fighting
Oh,
to the death.
does that clip not play if you don't water the plants? Like it shows the ending, but that final shot after the credits doesn't go off.
Yeah, it doesn't show up.
Oh, I'm really happy that I watered the plants.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, outstanding game. Really enjoyed it. 3 out of 10.
Fuck you, Michael. I want out of this.
Great, no, seriously,
Where's
great
my
game.
fucking Persona 4 episode 72
So
part?
Telepathy 2.
Blebe 2.